Well, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Whenever you're watching this, I want to welcome you to the second episode of the Pastor Jeremy Show. I'm your host, Pastor Jeremy, because it wouldn't make any sense if my name was like Pastor anything else. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to this second episode of the show. I hope you had a great time last week as we talked about humility, or what I thought was wit Louis, and you met a very special, important person to children's ministry at FBC Tyrone, and that was Miss Samantha. Well, just a few minutes ago, I did an interview with her. And I want to share with you that interview in a talk show that I sat down and did with her, just to talk about some movies and things she likes. And I know you're going to love it. I know you're going to like it. So check this out right now in the portion of the show where it's called Pastor Jeremy Talks to People About Stuff. I hope you enjoy it. And let me know in some comments, send an email, send a text, send something, and maybe I can give you a shout out on the next episode, episode 3 that comes out next week. Watch this, check it out. So we are here with Miss Samantha, who has, you had a good day?
It's been a good day.
It's been an interesting day, right?
Yeah.
Lots of things we're doing and running and to and fro and here and there. Well, thank you for being on the show this afternoon. Mm-hmm. I almost said this morning, but it's this afternoon. So, we're going to play a game. I'm going to talk about the end of movies or shows on TV or cartoons. I'm just going to read the ending, and you're going to tell me if you know the name of that story, that movie, whatever.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready. Okay,
this is a hard one. The daddy fish found the little boy fish, and they went back home to their anemone. They went back home to their, what is that word?
Anemone.
They're an anemone. Okay, the daddy fish found the little boy fish, and they went back home to their anemone. Their anemone. What movie, show, or cartoon was that? Daddy fish found the little boy fish and they went home.
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo is correct for 7 billion points. You got 7 billion bonus points. All right. How about this one? The little girl and all 3 bears sat down to some porridge.
Goldilocks and the 3 Bears.
Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. Do you know your fairy tales or what? Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. How about this one? The Voyager found her way home and saw her beautiful island was green again.
Yep, that's a good one.
That is a good one. What is it?
Moana.
Moana. What can I say except you're welcome? Right? That was a good one. I liked Moana. How about this one? 2 sisters, one redheaded and one a little chilly, became closer than ever.
Frozen?
Frozen is correct. Woo! Big summer blowout. That's my favorite part. The guy selling the ski gear up there in the mountains. How about this one? And all the toys lived happily together, happily ever after, while the cowboy had brand new adventures.
There's a lot of these. Toy Story?
There it is, a lot of those. Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, and Toy Story 4. All of those, yes. How about this one? The horse and the sea turtle open a pizza restaurant at the beach. The horse and the sea turtle open a pizza restaurant at the beach.
I haven't heard of that one.
You haven't heard of this movie?
No.
Doesn't it sound like a good one? It's a great end for a movie. A horse and a sea turtle open a pizza restaurant. You've never watched that?
No.
No. Well, that was the movie, and I'm not making this up. Get a horse? Neighborhood Pizza. Yeah?
Sure.
You've never seen that one? Okay. How about this one? The twin brothers find their missing shoes while shopping for a cappuccino machine on eBay. We watched this the other day, didn't we?
No.
Yeah, we did. We watched it. Yeah, it was good.
Never heard of it.
You never heard of it?
No.
Caffeine Commandos?
Sounds
Twin?
like a show you and Pastor Duncan would watch, but I haven't seen it.
Maybe Pastor Duncan and I are the Caffeine Commandos. Twin brothers find their missing shoes while shopping for a cappuccino machine on eBay. You can't make this stuff up. It's a great ending. But we'll have to find it, right?
Okay.
Well, here's one story that we talk about every year that we know the ending to. It's the Easter story, right? Every year we know, we talk about it and we know the ending. But I bet the people who were celebrating the first Easter had no idea how that story was going to end. When they saw Jesus arrested, when Peter and John saw Jesus arrested, they probably had no idea, even though Jesus told them how the story would end, had no idea how the story would end. We know how the story ends because it means so much for us. So what we're going to do now is we're going to send our viewers to the next segment of the show where we know the end of the story. We're going to talk all about Jesus' death, his burial, and his resurrection. The end of the story that we love the most, that we know the best and is just the most important for us, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead and check this out in the next segment of the Pastor Jeremy Show. And now it's that part of the show called Adventures in Flannel Graph, where I use Flannel Graph, one of the most amazing products ever, to tell you an awesome story straight out of the Bible. We're in the book of John. The religious leaders had been plotting to silence Jesus. They had tired of his ways that he was teaching and living in a way that challenged them and made them feel like they were losing their power. So Judas, one of Jesus' closest friends and disciples, helped those leaders in exchange for some money. He told them where Jesus would be praying after he had Passover meal with his disciples. The leaders sent soldiers, Roman soldiers, to arrest Jesus, and they showed up on the scene. Jesus allowed those soldiers and the mob to arrest him and take him. But his closest friends, like Peter and John here, skedaddled. "I'm out of here. Let's go. I don't want to be in trouble too." And Peter and John and the rest of the disciples left. Scene 2. Peter and John followed Jesus at a distance as the mob took him into the courtyard of the high priest for more questioning. While Peter was there, a servant girl saw Peter and said, "Hey, I know you. You're one of Jesus' disciples, aren't you?" Peter looked at her and frowned and said, "No, I don't even know who you're talking about. Jesus who?" Inside, the high priest questioned Jesus. And this is what John 18:20 and 21 say about that questioning. It says, Jesus replied, "Everyone knows what I teach. I have preached regularly in the synagogues and the temple, where the people gather. I have not spoken in secret. Why are you asking me this question? Ask those who heard me. They know what I said." Jesus was teaching the truth. In the courtyard, Peter stood with some others to keep warm around a fire. Another person saw Peter and once again said, "Hey, you're Peter. You're one of Jesus' disciples." Peter said, "No, I don't even know what you're talking about." Yet another man in the crowd recognized Peter and said, "Hey, Peter, Jesus' disciple, Jesus' right-hand man, that's you, right?" And Peter once again said, "No, what are you even talking about?" And just then, Peter heard a rooster crow, and he remembered what Jesus had said. He remembered that he would deny Jesus 3 times before the rooster crowed. And with that, Peter fell to his knees and cried He couldn't believe what he'd done. He had denied his one and only and best friend, Jesus. Scene 3. The high priest was tired of Jesus answering questions with truth, and so Jesus was sent to the Roman governor for more questioning. So the soldiers took Jesus away to the governor, Pilate. Pilate questioned the religious leaders to find out what charges they were even making against Jesus. What's he done wrong? The leaders insisted, he's committed crimes. These are things that the emperor of Rome would never go for. Eventually, Pilate took Jesus inside for questioning. Pilate had Jesus taken back outside to the crowd, and he said, I have no reason why this man should even be arrested, let alone killed. This is ridiculous. So he said, it's your Passover tradition, and as your Passover tradition, I'm going to offer to set him free. But I always set one criminal free. So I'm going to set Jesus free. And they insisted that Jesus shouldn't be freed. Instead, Pilate had Jesus whipped. The soldiers put a crown of thorns on his head, and they put a purple robe on him. And Pilate brought Jesus out before the crowd again. And by this time, a large crowd had gathered to see what was going on. They wanted to know exactly what Pilate was going to do. The chief priests, the officials, and the crowd all shouted, "Crucify this man! Put him on a cross! Crucify him!" Pilate turned Jesus over to the soldiers, who forced Jesus to drag his own cross to the top of a hill called Golgotha. The soldiers nailed Jesus to the cross. They raised it up high on the top of that hill called Golgotha with a sign that read, "King of the Jews." Jesus' mother and Mary and her sister and Mary Magdalene, they were all there. They were watching this take place. And Jesus asked John to take care of his mother. And with his final breath, Jesus said, "It is finished." And he bowed his head and he died. But what was Jesus saying was finished? Stay tuned. After Jesus died, Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus, two Jewish leaders, took Jesus' body to be buried. Mary Magdalene followed them in as they took his body to a tomb in a garden. They rolled a heavy stone in front of the tomb, and they left. Early on Sunday, Mary went to the tomb, but she found that the stone had been rolled away. The tomb was empty. Mary ran home to where the disciples were staying, and she spoke to Peter and John, and she told them exactly what had happened. Peter and John ran to the tomb, and they found it empty, just like Mary had said. But Jesus wasn't there. There were strips of linen and cloth that Jesus had been buried in, so Peter and John headed home and tried to figure out what was going on. But Mary stayed at the tomb, and she was weeping and crying. She didn't understand what was going on. And all of a sudden, she saw two angels that appeared in front of her. And they asked her why she was crying. And in John 20:13, we read this. Mary says that they say this, "Dear woman, why are you crying?" The angels asked her. "Because they have taken away my Lord," she replied, "and I don't know where they have put him." She was so distraught. But Mary very quickly saw someone else that she didn't expect either. She saw someone who she thought was the gardener standing right in front of her. The man asked her why she was crying, and she said, I don't know where Jesus is. I don't know where they've taken his body." And he looked at her. And this is what Jesus said to her in John 20, verse 17. He said, "Don't cling to me, for I haven't yet ascended to the Father. But go find my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. It's amazing. Mary ran to tell the other disciples that Jesus was alive. Friends, Jesus chose to enter death for those he loved, and he defeated it. Jesus is alive. Jesus put us first. That's the bottom line. Jesus proved once and for all that he is God's Son. And when we put our trust in Jesus, we can have a relationship with God that will last forever. Okay, I am going to get one of my kids to watch one of these movies to prove that I'm not crazy, that I didn't make it up. Here we go. Hey, what are you doing?
Practicing piano?
Am I bothering you?
No, do you
Hey,
need something?
yeah, do you want to watch Caffeine Commandos with me?
What's that?
What do you mean, what's that? It's the greatest movie ever made? You said it was hilarious.
I said that?
Yeah.
I didn't.
You know,
I
the
didn't
two
know.
boys are twin brothers and they lose their shoes, and so they're looking for shoes on eBay, and they buy the cappuccino machine.
Wait, what? Are
Yeah.
you serious?
Doesn't it sound great? Doesn't
No.
it sound like the greatest movie ever made?
Sounds like the worst movie ever made.
The worst.
What?
I'm not making this up. Okay.
I think you are.
No.
I've never even heard of it.
Okay, I'm gonna get on imdb.com and I'm gonna look
Okay.
this up and I'm gonna prove to you that this is a real movie. Okay?
Okay.
All right, back to your piano.
Okay.
Probably would enjoy that more than Caffeine Commandos
Yeah,
anyway.
probably.
But all right, tell everyone goodbye.
Bye.
Sign them out from the Pastor Jeremy Show.
Pastor Jeremy signing off.